Welcome to the Hero Maker podcast. I'm Andrea Schreeman, writer, director, EP, living in LA.
I'm Jennifer Morrison, and I currently serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Vermont.
We are here to seek out and tell the full story of our friends who were murdered in college, Rachel Raver and Warren Fulton III.
We really need to make sure that their deaths were not in vain and that every possible lesson and improvement for the system can be squeezed from the retelling of the circumstances that ultimately led to the identification of their killer.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Shreems.
How's everything going there in Vermont? I see snow on your trees.
It's cold. It's really cold, sub-zero, and we've been getting snow, and we're about to get another big dump this week. So it's wintry, just like you would expect in February.
Get your snowshoes on.
Yeah, and get your long underwear on.
Yeah, and break out your hot chocolate. We had to break out our hot chocolate because it's been in the 30s here. I know. Ooh, wah. But it's raining.
That's cold for you.
Cats and dogs, and I think it's been in the 20s actually. And, things are sliding down the mountains. So We're also having weather.
No good. No good. So what are we going to talk about this morning?
Yeah. So I'm introducing you to Patricia Allen, who is the executive director of No More Violence, which is an organization out of Dallas, Texas, that loves up on families who have lost a child to violence or gun violence, or children that are lost, have died because of some type of, it could be like mental illness. There's a variety of things, but it started because of gun violence. And she is just an angel walking the earth who is supporting families in their grief, and walking the walk with them from the moment that their child dies, and just keeps going with them like years afterward. She's doing memorialization efforts and helps with the funerals and getting them connected with churches if they need it, and getting them food and clothing. So she's just a real angel. And her organization, No More Violence, is just an exemplary organization that has found some gaps and is filling them. And I just can't wait to connect you to, because you've been in that world. You have delivered death notifications. You've been with grieving families. And I think there'll be a nice connection there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I did take a peek at their website, and I was really just blown away by the breadth and depth of the services that they provide. And they actually have some pretty big undertakings, like a convention that I think we'll hear more about. But this seems to be a grassroots organization that has really found a way to have an outsized impact.
Yeah. And from your experience, like in that area of, grieving families and losing children to violence or gun violence, have you experienced any kind of gap that's not being filled, that really on a statewide or national level needs more attention?
I can't point to one right away, because in Vermont, I think we have pretty robust victim services. There is always a need for more funding for these organizations, for, if somebody's feeling that they're in an unsafe situation, giving them alternate housing, for support with expenses related to funerals, cremations, burials. I have not identified one in my experience that I say, glaring deficiency here, because I think our victim advocacy community here is very creative and resourceful and very empathetic. But I am also quite confident that that's probably not the situation across the country.
Well, and when we spoke to Renee Williams, the two of you talked about how a lot of families aren't eligible for services based on whether their crime was adjudicated, or whether their crime, if they don't have a perpetrator, like a suspect. I don't know, someone wasn't a suspect or someone wasn't charged.
Yep.
So maybe that is a gap, where there are families who just don't qualify for one reason or another, but they've still lost a child, right?
Yeah, I don't think that would be a gap in Vermont. If you've lost a child, even if they don't have a suspect, that if you've lost a child to a criminal act, you would be eligible for services.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So there's definitely,
Well, as
I
we
know
know,
that the
Vermont
landscape
is
is different.
amazing. Vermont does everything great. Vermont only has 700,000 people. So it's this perfect place to test out these amazing pilot programs and kick butt and be number one.
Well, there's some things we like to be number one in and others that we don't. So,
Right. This is true.
but anyway, I am looking forward to meeting Trisha and hearing more about No More Violence, because I can always use some inspiration on how we can do things better in the world of grieving families.
Yeah. So here we go. This is Patricia Allen from No More Violence. I'm just honored that you're joining us. You know, you're one of the first people I met when we decided to turn this into a podcast, and you and I had talked about partnering together with your nonprofit, No More Violence.
Yes.
And you were so busy that we had trouble connecting and it was great because we found our partner, but you are just always out there working with families. Can you start by just telling us what your organization does?
Yes. No More Violence Organization is a nonprofit 501c3. Actually, this year we'll be going into our 11th year. We work with families who has lost children from acts of violence. Basically, to kind of sum it up, when I get a phone call notified from the public, which is communities that know what we do, we're more intimate with families. When I get a call that a parent has been notified their child been killed, what I do is I go in to assist the family to see what their needs are. One of the things is that a lot of families, when they are lost a loved one, their mind is not really somewhat there. So they just need a support system to walk them through the process of planning the services as well as long-term support. And so I go in to see what their needs are. I work with a lot of funeral homes. I used to work at a funeral home. I work with a lot of pastors, a lot of churches. I have a lot of nonprofit organizations that partners with me for whatever resources that I need. And so I basically see what do they need? Do they need help filling out the business compensation form? Do they need to find a church home? Do they need food? A lot of times families don't want to cook. What are their needs? Or they have surviving children. What are their needs? Do they need clothing? Do they need a place to hold for, they call it the repast after the services? And a lot of times we find a lot of families some families don't have a church home. So I have to go and kind of do some networking and work with some of the pastors that I work with and see, so I can take that burden off of them so I don't have to worry so much. We coordinate the balloon release of whatever that they want, balloon release, candlelight, whatever they want. And our goal is to bring the community together, let them know that they have a support system, they have a community that's there to support them. And not only that, we are there for the funerals, we're there for the wakes. We attend, we do memorial tables, we design it and make it personalized in memory of their child, whether it's whatever color they was favorite color, or if they was on a team, basketball, football team, we organize it where, kids able to sign canvas. We just do the extra to really make it really personalized to that loved one. And everything we do is free of service. And then after that, even after the services, we provide that long-term support. We have 3 support groups. One is called When Will the Pain Stop? And I have chaplains, I have family victims that come in, as well as give an opportunity to share their story, as well as we have another support group where a mother lost her son, but she is our instructor. She teaches a trauma crafting support group where families and children can be able to come in and make crafts in memory of their loved one. And then I have a father that comes in. He teaches the trauma for fathers where sometimes as a mother, yes, we grieve for our baby, but sometimes as a father, they need that intimate time for fathers to come together and just have their one-on-one time of understanding how father grieves. And so they have their own support group as well. But we do have a co-ed where everybody come together. And so not only that, we're involved in a lot of community events. We give the opportunity for the families to share their story, the platforms. We always invited to different community events. We also have a program called No More Violence Youth Convention. I started that back in 2015. We're going into our 10th year. And the goal is to be able to take the families out of where they reside and let them know that there are other families that have suffered the loss as well, and give them opportunity to share their story in different cities, and then give them opportunity to get out and explore other cities away from home, put them up in a hotel with their surviving children, if they have any, and just have them to relax, don't worry about nothing, allow us to love on them, allow them to come in and enjoy a hotel stay. Everything is free. We work hard to be able to get the donations, but we make sure that they are taken care of. We feed them, we put them on a charter bus, some drive. And so not only that, when we do this, we connect with the city, which is the mayors, the city councils. We connect with the community, and we make it a 2-day event. This year, we're going in our 10th year. We'll be going back to Houston, Texas. And how we do this, depending on how long the travel is, what we do is we offer the opportunity for students that in the community that we go to, the city we go to, or the students that comes with us, which is the family, which is the surviving children. And we allow the young people to play basketball with the police department, because we want them to engage with law enforcement where, there are some good and there are some bad. Believe it or not, I have family in my background with law enforcement. So we want them to understand that, there are some good ones and they want to engage with them. We want them to be able to build that trust back with the student, with the youth in the community and the community as a whole. And they have fun. And so we do a lot of marketing in that city and let them know, hey, come out, enjoy basketball game with surviving children as well as the community. And so we done it in, we started out 2015. We started in Paris, Texas for 2 years. We started in Mesquite, Texas for 2 years, Mesquite Police Department. We went to Killeen, Texas. We did basketball with police department for 2 years. We did Dallas, and Dallas is ongoing. So we always do it with Dallas department all the time. We have a partnership with them. And then we get ready to try to do it with Houston, which is another town we get ready to go into called Wharton, Texas, outside the skirts of Houston. So these families are looking for, and then on that, we add the educational component to the convention where we have classes and workshops where it's all free. It's all free for the community, for those who attend. And we have classes for all the target violence that we have in No More Violence. And let me share you the families that we have in No More Violence. We have families from gun violence, human trafficking, suicide, bullying, hazing, and mental illness. And reason why we had the mental illness and we added on that, because when I got a phone call that a young lady named Arlana Miller, she went to a former student in DeSoto, Texas. However, she went to Southern University in Louisiana. And unfortunately, last year in May, she committed suicide while she was on college. And so when we was notified that this young lady wrote a letter and put it on Instagram and shared her feelings and how she felt and how she dealt with mental illness and depression, she wrote this long letter. And of course, it's online. And we understand that now it's really something that we really put a lot of more focus now on the mental illness that our young people are going through. And so that's what added on to one of our target violence, where we are working with that family. And that's how we added the mental illness. As you see, I never know what type of families we would get. And so we're doing that long-term support as well as her. And mom just notified me, because like I said, even if I don't get a phone call, we are long-term support for the families. And so it's always a family calling No More Violence needing something, whether if it's resources, whether if it's help with the children. It's always a need. And so we want to provide those needs for these families. And so that's kind of sum it up of what we do. That I hadn't told you more other stuff, but That's just summing up what we do. And we're glad to be of service to the community and to these families and let them know that they're got a beautiful support system with our team.
That's a lot.
Yes. It's a lot.
That is amazing.
Yes, yes.
That's a lot. Can you tell me a little bit about what prompted you and your co-founder to start this organization?
Well, I personally, I've been basically my background is I've been working with children for a long time. That's my passion and gift. And I love working with children of all ages. And so working in the school district for 16 years, working for Child Protective Services, working children ministry at my church, I lost a student in children's ministry. And if you ever work with children, you become so close to them. It's like they're your own. And so DJ was an innocent young man that was killed in DeSoto in 2011. He was outside playing in his apartment complex where some guys came into the apartment complex, did not live there, but started fighting. And when they started fighting, they didn't see DJ. They ran in a car and they ran him over at his home where he resided. And so Mother and I, at that time, he was 12 years old. And at that time, Mother and I wanted to be able to keep his memory alive as well as support families who go through, because when I was walking through the process of April, my sister, not biological sister, but sister in ministry, we wanted, one thing that I noticed working with her, preparing the services for her, even harder for me, is that it was a lack of support for families, even your immediate family, unfortunately, and then for her. And then we noticed that we wanted to continue to educate our young people on their choices and consequences of what they're still facing today. But, you know, we can't save everyone, but we will do all we can to educate and continue to make them understand the after effect that it has on a family when they make these type of decisions.
Can I make sure, I just want to make sure I understand clearly. April was the mother of one of the children that was in one of your ministry classes through a church.
Yes, and April was the mother of DJ, how we got started, and Mother and I started, yes, in memory of DJ.
So you knew her, but now you certainly are much closer with her through this incredible work.
Yes, exactly. But I also, like I tell people all the time, even though she's my sister, I have to remind myself she is a mother who lost a child. So I never try to put more on her than she can handle. But she's in the stages of grieving, still in the process of growing. But she has really came a long way of dealing with her grief. And because, you know, even when we are dealing with families with grief, she's having to sometimes relive it when we do events. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes it is hard for her, but I say sometimes, sis, I call her sis. Sis, I got it. It's okay. If you can't come to this, it's okay. We're a team. We got it for you. So we're more than just an organization. We're a family to every one of these families. And so I think that's what kind of makes us unique, because a lot of people ask me, well, how did you get these families? How did they come to you? Every time I turn around here, no more violence. You can do this. You said, I said, because we're a family. We're intimate with these families. They're just not a case load. They're not just a case number. They become a part of us. And for myself, the difference in me is that I'm firsthand in the home with these families. I see the cries of that mother. I see the cries of their father. I'm sitting in a home with these families. And so I have time to have that one-on-one first responder impact with these families. And so I cling to that. And when I cling to that, for me, my grief, it makes me want to do more. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes me want to do more to lighten the load. You know,
well, it's pretty intense when you're with a family in the moments and hours and days after a sudden unexpected death.
Yes.
You know, in the course of my career, I've had to deliver many death notifications, and some fall into this type of category.
Yes.
And it is powerful to bear witness to what is unfolding right in front of you as the processing of this initial information and the grief pours out. And I've never once see a family grieve the same way. Like no two people have grieved in the same way. And you must be an incredibly strong human and very resilient to be able to be that intimate with these families over and over again.
It's hard. I'm not going to lie, Ms. Morrison. It's very, very hard. And as you know, as an officer, is that when you have that impact and you're with that family, even though you might not know that family personally, but just even to share the loss or just being in the atmosphere of the grieving process and how they're feeling, how they're interacting. It's like, for you, I know you can't be intimate with them, but for me, on the other hand, I just want to take away the pain, but I can't. But what can I, in my mind, what can I do to lighten the load? You see what I'm saying? So let me take some of that stress out of you and let me bring the community together and let's get some help for you. So that way it won't be so much for their family to go through. And so that's what we do all year round. We do the birthdays. I didn't even share with you when that 1 year anniversary come around, when that birthday come around, we bring, sometimes they call me back and say, well, can we go back to the funeral? Can we go back to the cemetery? I make flyers. I bring the community together. Let's come out and support this family. I didn't have families bring out food to the cemetery. They asked me to come to their home and let's do a 1 year anniversary. Or let me give you an example. For one, I'm actually a godparent of one of my family victims. Unfortunately, the mom was in her 20s. The boyfriend shot and killed her, where the mother of the deceased still lives at right now in South Dallas. And so when that boyfriend killed that mom was 9 months pregnant. The baby survived. The baby lived and stayed in the hospital about a month and a half. And so I was visiting with the mother of the deceased every day in the hospital until she got out. And so they ended up making me the godmother. But this is a baby that her name is Miracle now. Miracle does not have a mother anymore. She doesn't have a father because the father's incarcerated. And so the family witnessed all this in the home, but she also had another son. They call him Ray Ray. He's he at that time when mom was killed, he was 2 years old. So every year we give a birthday party for Miracle. Because unfortunately, grandmother cannot pay for the expenses of doing all of this because of low poverty area. So we bring the community together. We make it personalized. We do everything for them when she don't have to do anything. So I'm just giving an example. That's a personalization that we have for the families. So every family is different, but we try to do all we can to make sure these families are taken care of.
Patricia,
so how do you take care of you?
Oh, I know how many times have somebody said that to me. Believe it or not, I don't really have an answer to it. A lot of people say I need to go to counseling because of the trauma that I have been consumed for so many years. It comes sometimes overwhelming. It hurts. I think sometimes me staying busy with these families, that's how I deal with it. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but it's like, as long as I'm doing something for a family, just like yesterday, one of my family victims, someone in the family, the brother didn't die from violence, but just natural cause. They asked me to make the program. That makes me feel better. I don't know. It just makes me feel good when I'm doing something. That's how I deal with my grief. There's some days I just have moments I just cry. Because I'm consumed them. I remember each one of them individually. And I think that's how I deal with it.
But you also have extraordinary faith. Like I read a lot about your work, and I know that you're walking with God, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but
you're right.
The Williamson County Cultural Arts Commission of Franklin, Tennessee wishes to thank our men and women in blue who help us deliver safe and fun family and community cultural events year-round, including one of the only authentic bluegrass festivals in the country. Bluegrass Along the Harpeth takes place every July, and at the Williamson County Fair in August, and at the annual Tennessee International Independent Film Festival. Check out our full calendar of events at wccac-tn.org.
Yes, I'm a Christian and I love the Lord. And I just feel that there's a calling that I didn't even know God had placed on me. And I can say I share with everybody is that, no, I didn't lose a child of violence, but I have 3 daughters. They are grown. Back in between 92 and 93, my children were very small and tolerant. That's where I'm from, Tyler, Texas. And at the time, I had just dropped one of my daughters off at my mom's house. And I said, Mom, I'm going to get a tire. I'll be right back. And so where the tire place was, it was in a residential area, but it was a guy that was selling a tire, but it was a business in the back of his house. I can't even remember. It was something like that to that nature. But it was a railroad track right behind his house. So as I was leaving from his house, I never forget, I had a Mazda 626. It was a little smaller car. And so as I was driving up to the railroad track, it didn't have any bars that goes down like you normally do. And then it didn't have the flashing lights. It had none of that. For some reason, it was a residential area. When I pulled up just a little bit up to the tracks, it was too late. I just thought I remember was hearing the horn. And right up to the front of my car, the train took my car and turned me upside down on the side of the track, which was, I can still hear in my head, I can still hear the train tracks slowing down. I can hear the train tracks blowing, but it was too late. Because when I turned my head to see right away and left way to make sure no train wasn't coming, it was already too late. So I remember I couldn't even breathe. I remember myself being upside down in the car, and the train took my car and dumped me on the side of the ditch. That's all I remember. For that, I say God had a purpose for my life. I could have been gone a long time ago, and I thank God that He saved me. I wasn't so much in the church. I wasn't doing anything bad or nothing. I was living a good life. I mean, I'm just doing everything like anybody else would do, go to work and come home. And so from that accident, I felt that God had a calling on my life. And of course, at that time, I gave my life to the Lord. And I've been serving God ever since, because I knew He had a purpose for me, but I didn't know what the purpose was going to be. And unfortunately, even after that accident, I had a cousin call me and said, she said, Trisha, you know that you need to go over there. I said, I really don't want to go over there. And it was like a week after. She said, you need to go over there because right now they have a bulldozer. And what happened is, when a train area, you're supposed to cut down the trees and all on both sides. Apparently, that was one of the things. The trees had grown to where that's the reason why I probably couldn't see. And they started cutting all that down. I ended up getting a lawsuit behind it. I ended up having a lawsuit, and I did win the case. And then because I won the case, because there was some negligence on their part, they're supposed to have the railroad crossing, and they're supposed to have the flashing lights. They had none of that installed. After that, they have installed it all that into that neighborhood. So back then, I only got about like $15,000. I was young. I think I was like 19 or 20 years old. And so he said it wasn't a lot. The Union Pacific Railroad from Houston, the claim adjuster, came to my home in Tyler, sat with me in my living room, gave me a check and wrote it out for $15,000. So that's why I say, even as of today, believe it or not, back in 92, I still have a problem going over railroad tracks.
Believe it.
I do. Even when the bars, the lights are on, I still look. And sometimes I can remember, why are you looking? It's just something in my mind I go through.
That is incredibly shocking, but I could see how that would create such a dramatic shift for you and, pull you into a space of gratitude and kind of be listening for your purpose. Thank you so much for sharing that harrowing story. In the way you're talking, I hear that you have this ability to see these gaps. You were saying there was a lack of support for families, so that we moved in and we did that. And then a lack of education for kids. And so we moved in and we did that. I wonder if also your work with Child Protective Services started to show you some of the other gaps. So like you were saying, as a government employee, you couldn't get involved, right?
Yeah.
There was a limit to maybe the appropriateness of your empathy and reaching across. What are some of the problems that you are really trying to fix, some of the gaps that you've successfully filled, and help other people who are listening understand what's missing out there?
I can give you a perfect example. And I do this when I do have those opportunities working with families. Working with Child Protective Services, I was administrative assistant over the conservatorship unit, which is basically after investigation come in, then conservatorship come in and make sure that the client is doing what they're supposed to do according to the supervisor and to the court system. But I had 9 caseworkers, and basically Dallas, our caseload is always heavy. But unfortunately, what I found out is that working with the families that we had come into our unit, and not only that, another component to mine was I was over the removal staffing. Removal staffing is where after the investigation comes in, then the caseworker comes in, they remove the child. They have to go through a staffing first before they even go to the court. And I was in charge of doing it through the whole region, and then including some outside the region. And so I was able to see a lot what happened with that case before it went to the program director, supervisor, and then go to court. I don't really share so much publicly that background of it, but I do share when I do have these balloon releases and I do have these candlelight visuals, especially when I'm dealing with young people that have been killed, is that a lot of them young people come out because they want to come and support the person that has deceased. A lot of times our young people are dealing with the lack of family environment. That means is either the mother's not there or the father's not there, either someone's incarcerated, somebody's on drugs, broken homes. And so a lot of young people deal sometimes in the wrong way of anger, and then anger turns into violence. When they turn to violence, then that's a lot of lack of love, and they're looking for love in the wrong places. And sometimes it's hard for young people to deal with that. And so I go back on my work experience is that we want you to know we love you. We care about you. We're here for you. What can we do as an organization? And so afterwards, a lot of time I give them my contact number, how you can reach us, how we can be able to serve you. And a lot of them do come to me after. They come to me or some of my team members and say, now maybe an opportunity where you can give back your time. Come join our organization, volunteer, give back your time. Or I'll reach out to see what are resources that they're needing. Sometimes it just may be that caretaker, taking care of someone that the mother incarcerated, or mother's on a drug, or that family don't have a close relationship with mother or father. There's a lot of sometimes lack of resources that our young people are not getting. It could be that some things that they've never had a chance to get their driver's license. Who's going to take them to get it done, or who's going to make sure that they get it? Sometimes it's those little bitty things that a lot of young people are needing, that sometimes they're looking for a way of escape somewhat to where they can try to, sometimes they find it in gangs. It may be sometimes that extra relative that they can go to, they can't go to their parents.
So those younger people, you bring them in and invite them to be volunteers, is what I just heard you say.
And the reason why I say that, because when I do the balloon releases, I do the candlelight, I facilitate it. And what I mean facilitate is that I work with the family and say, who's all coming? Do you have anybody that's coming to speak? And I kind of facilitate it, because one thing about it, I tell families, of course, I can't tell them what to do. My suggestion is I only do like maybe 30 minutes. I don't like a long drawn out balloon release because it's already hard for the family. I try to tell them, make sure let's do it during the daytime. I don't like to do it at nighttime, because then you never know who's coming out. You got to make sure this is still going to send it's still an open case, and making sure that there's a safety where we're going, making sure we have law enforcement presence. Then that's opportunity where I share who I am. Then we do a prayer scripture. And then if there's a pastor, he come and speak. And then I start sharing, not so much what happened to the case, but so much, here's an opportunity sometimes our young people are going through. And I kind of elaborate some of those things. And a lot of times they do listen to us. I mean, they do. I don't know if they do or not, but the after effects after we get through talking, sometimes some of them do come to us and they say, how can we serve? How can we volunteer? But then we give opportunity to have that ongoing relationship with them, with some of them that has come in and served in our organization and have gave back their time. So we try to every way we can with these families.
When you think about the cases that you've engaged with in the last decade, are there a top 3 root causes or themes of why you think so much violence is occurring in our communities?
I just believe a lot of young people deal with anger, and they have not dealt with it from maybe their childhood, or maybe something may have happened that triggered the anger, and they don't know how to express it or how to deal with it. And I think the anger, of course, the anger turns into violence, unfortunately, and they haven't dealt with resolution, conflict. And so they just do, they don't think, they just react to it and don't understand the consequences of what might happen in the long run. And then I think sometimes it's just a family. It's all, all this training starts from home.
That's right.
And the home not right, then the child gets, this is the aftermath, what you see. They don't get that proper, not saying that every home is like that. Sometimes we can have the perfect home and treat our child and make sure that they do everything and the chores and all this stuff. But somewhere when they get out in the public, that's when they make their own choices. And sometimes those are the consequences that you'll find. And so I think that anger is what I'm seeing a lot of that. I can tell you a lot of stories, but we just buried, I got a new family. This has made 79 families. About 3 weeks ago, I got a phone call, a young man at the age, he was 11 years old. He was in an apartment complex. Unfortunately, mom, she came in a little late, but mom came and brought the son over, the young man who was deceased. 11 years old. Mom had a gun in a car. Apparently, daughter went in the car and got the gun. And then she apparently, when she got angry and mad at whoever the girl she was fighting with, she got the gun, didn't know how to use the gun. Gun dropped down. The girl that she was fighting with picked the gun up, was trying to shoot at the sister of the deceased, and shot the brother in the head. Because he was an innocent bystander. But because of the anger and whatever they was dealing with, you see what I'm saying? They don't understand that the choices that they make, it impacts the whole family. And sometimes the family end up suffering behind the choices they make. They don't think, they just do.
And I don't think they understand the permanency of the choices, because
Yes.
we live in a world where they get to play video games over and over, and the same person is always there the next day, even though they shot them in the video game, you know, over and over and over, and they just have a million lives. And
yes, it's the video games, it's the music.
yep.
Of course, some of these celebrities that they try to be a role model after. And you sit there and sometimes you see the ones that have those guns and that music and all of that. And then they want to portray them, the sagging of the pants. They don't understand the concept behind that. There's a lot of things they're exposed to. And not only that, we didn't even share social media. That's one of the really unfortunate, some of the main of the issues that they go through a lot of their social media, and they see a lot and they want to portray that person or someone that they know. But at the same time, I share with them, even when I do the bloom release or the candlelight vision, where's your friends at now when you get ready to go to court?
Yeah.
You know, because I've been to court. That's one of the things we do. We do go to court when we have the availability. I've been to court with a lot of our families. And you're sitting there. Where's your friends are now? You know, you're left by yourself now. Now you have to suffer the consequences of what the choices that you made. Now you're not going to be able to enjoy the freedom that you once had.
Yeah.
So you say you have 79 families now since you've
Yeah.
been doing this. Are there occasions where those families, I mean, I know you have different groups and you make them open to anyone who wants to come, but are there occasions where you've had these people come together and to share their stories or to just...
Oh, yes. Every year we do a memorial banquet. We bring all the families together and we make it their day, because we want the families to understand that they hear about our families, but they sometimes never know who they are. But we do share that on social media. Every time we get a new family, we put that on social media, or we just demonstrate, or maybe the bloom release or something. Sometimes they see it and they do come out to support another mother. But we do a memorial banquet, and we make that day just for them, where they don't have to do anything. And so when they all come together, we honor all the children. We get the community. We even do a long processional where they don't even have to drive. I get limousines, and those same funeral homes that supported them, they transport them, different funeral homes. And then we do a balloon release. Then we go inside and have the service. We have city leaders come in and share back to them and give them words of encouragement. We feed them. So those are one of the things that we do as far as when they all come together, as well as the convention. Because I think the convention is more of an intimate, because they get to spend a couple of days of meeting them, getting to know them, hang out together. We take them to Galveston Beach. Of course, that's free. So they love that interaction where they can just have fun and just relax. You know, we try to make those opportunities. Of course, the support groups where they're able to come in. Of course, that service is free. So those are some different things that we do to make sure that we bring them all together as much as possible we can.
Yeah, I really hear that memorialization is a huge part of what you do, and really keeping the spirit of these young people alive and keeping the family connected to celebrating the memory of their loved one. And I also feel like you don't drop it. You know what I mean? Next year, you're there again. It does feel like you are like, your grandmama to all these families.
Yeah.
When I think of that role in my family, the person who kept all of us together and the remembrances of everything that needed to be remembered, it is that ancestral kind of grandmother role that really, and I'm not calling you, I don't know if you really are.
No. Well, I have a grandmother. I got 3 daughters. One is 31, one is 28, and the other one is 26. And I do have 4 grandchildren. Of course, my husband's been married for 31 years. So yes, I do. They don't call me grandma. They call me, I made my own name up, Tanana.
Nice.
Banana, like banana with a T.
Nana, but for my first Trisha, they call me Trisha too. Tanana. So
like Nana, as grandma.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So if you could just maybe help me understand this memorialization piece, and what are your thoughts behind it, and what drives you to make the choices you make around the balloon releases and the candlelight vigils and the showing up year after year? What is driving you to do that? And what would you like other people to know the importance of that piece?
Because when I go to, and I'm invited to different events and I'm just observing and listening, one of the main things I always hear, we don't get support. We don't get support. And I just hear that so much. I wanted the community to understand that we are not only just an organization, we're a really support system to the families, and we are dedicated about what we do. We don't start something and stop. We continue to make sure that we bring the community together. It's just not about no more violence. It takes a community effort for everyone to come together and support these families. And it's a beautiful thing when you see, if it's not my organization, maybe another organization, it may be family victims that has lost children, and they just want to come to be supported. So I think the support system as a community effort is the most important to me. Then, because I just want to say no more violence is always the forefront, and I don't want to just put on a spotlight. I believe in everybody coming together. And so that's why when I create flyers and I share with the community, okay, this family's getting ready to have their 1-year anniversary, or this family's getting ready to have this birthday we're getting ready to do for the surviving children. And all of that, we got 63 surviving children. I forgot to share that with you. Ages from Miracle's 5, all the way to college students. We have all ethnicities. And so the thing about it is we want the community to know that we are here to support them as a community and an organization. When they see that somebody really do care about me, somebody really want to be there for me. And I think it makes a difference when I see that and I hear the feedback from the families. That's what really makes us want to make sure we do this all the time. And sometimes there may be families, for example, I never forget when this mom lost her daughter. My daughter went to school with her. Her daughter was in the 9th grade, and the babysitter killed her and shot her under the bridge in Mesquite. But when we went to trial with her, and afterwards, mom just this past year just did a 10-year balloon release. She never wanted to do nothing, but we always told her we was there. We always honored her child, and everything we do. But this was the first time she did a balloon. You see how long it took? It took 10 years. And so, of course, we organized it. It was something simple. I'll call the friend home and say, hey, can you put up the green tent? That way when people come, they'll see the tent. Because sometimes when you go to the cemetery, sometimes you just can't really find the headstone because there's so many. So
I can only imagine in Texas how big the cemeteries are.
Yes. And so
everything is big in Texas.
Every big. And so this cemetery is well known in the community where a lot of people go to, but there's 2 sides. One is kind of the old side, one is kind of the new. And so we wanted to just the simple things of getting the tent out, setting the memorial table up. When I mean memorial tables, I go get the pictures personalized and blow it up real big and put little small pictures in there and do some balloons. And then that way when the family get there, everything is really done. And so I'm saying for her just celebrating her baby for 10 years and never want to do it because of the grief. Just even I'm hearing her say, well, every time you say September, it grieves her. It cringes her spirit just to say the month that her child was killed. So when I hear a lot of the feedbacks from every family individually, I try to find a way to bring them together in a different kind of way for each one, because each family's case is different.
Kind of like meeting them where they are.
Yes, exactly.
And you're sort of a caseworker, case by case.
Yeah, and I didn't even
looking at it from all different angles, looking at what the mom's needs are, maybe a surviving child's needs, a father, and you're kind of like writing a prescription for each of the family members to try and address their needs in that moment and in the years to follow.
Yeah, because
you're like a grief doctor.
Those cases, I would say maybe out of 4 had insurance on their child. And one of those that we did for services for, she said, I put insurance on my child because I knew the lifestyle my child was living. And so that was one family that I didn't have to try to make sure we share her GoFundMe page on Facebook and say, hey, can somebody help her? But she had funding on child, but majority of my families do not have insurance on their child. And so then that's where you create GoFundMe pages and they share it. And then of course, sometimes, unfortunately, some funeral homes will not do it until they get that money. I have had one family last year where her child waited 2 weeks in the morgue because she had to get the money and they would not do it without it. And then, of course, they didn't take victim compensation. Some funeral homes don't take it. They want their money, even though they know they're going to get it. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes 4 to 6 months for them to get their money because that department is so busy with so many families trying to need those services. They just don't have the money to bury their child. Because when I hear that, what strikes in my mind, I'm like, oh, I wish I had a way of having that funding to where I can help each family by case, depending on what the situation is. Maybe I can't pay for the whole funeral, but at least I can give $1,000. That's triggers in my mind.
If you or someone you know is connected either personally or as the result of violent crime to Alfredo Prieto, a convicted rapist and killer who lived in and around San Bernardino, California, Arlington, Virginia, and Jamaica, Queens, New York between the years of 1984 and 1990, we'd like to hear from you. Please email us at info@theheromakerpodcast.com.
So you said that most families have a GoFundMe page.
Majority of them do.
Some of them have actually had insurance on their child. But what are the other ways that the work that you do is funded?
Well, community. When I share community, there is a need. I put it out there on social media and I say, hey, we're needing this. For example, the convention. If anybody go to a convention, y'all know it costs. It costs money to go to a convention. Unfortunately, of course, in my faith, I share with my team. I don't know how we're going to get this money for these families to travel. And then I do have a challenging part on my end. People don't know behind the scenes. I say, oh, Lord, please come through with this money. And I'm begging and I'm praying that this money comes through because I put it out there. Now I got to keep my word. And now we got to make sure we do this. And so I'm networking with different people, my churches. And so what I do, I created a flyer. And I said, team, I said, let's put this flyer out there. Let's give it to the community. Can you adopt a family? Adopt a family is $125. It might not take care of everything, but it'll take care of at least the hotel, the room, and we'll take care of the rest. My church is very important with me, so they do help me out financially. And so each year is different. So we always, at the end, it always comes through. So we end up getting the money from the community.
But it sounds like it's individual donations to your nonprofit.
Yes. And of course, unfortunately, grant writers are very expensive. And I know we have the history, we have the data, we have all that, but we just don't have the funding to actually pay for a grant writer to do it. We know we'll get it. But one of the things that the programs and services that we want to do long term is that when I was working for the school district, I was a director for the after school program. I had 384 students. I had 34 staff. I had paraprofessionals, professionals. I had 40 different classes. So parents will come in. Of course, they didn't have to pay for after school services. Our school district was the only one that didn't charge families to pay for after school. So children would come in and they would stay to 6 o'clock. They had the enrichment from 4 to 5, they had an hour. We had STEMs, we had robotics, we had coding, we had music, we had cheerleading, we had basketball, we had computer technology, whatever families registered. So I had to do all the logistics of registering the students for classes. I had to make sure I do payroll. I had to deliver everything. So I had 7 years experience. So what I share with my team in the community, what I would love to do is to find someone to have a building space in Dallas. Of course, I am in partnership with the city of Dallas. Mayor asked me, hey, what do you need? So the council asked me what I need, not city council, but one of the city managers asked what I need. And I said, I need a building space in order to be really effective for the community. I do have partnerships to say, hey, you can use my space. I even have a key to a college. I can get in and use it whenever there's availability. But it's nothing like having your own, where you can actually go in there and have your services. So I wanted to do my after school program, maybe not to that extent to my school district because we had a lot of staff, but we want to be able to provide those type of programs where there is a lack of those programs in the low income poverty area where we really work in. A lot of students don't get the code. A lot of students don't get the robotics, the STEMs, and I can keep going on and on with these programs. The hands-on technology, IT. I have people that's lined up that wants to provide their services, but I can't do it because I don't have a building space. I never forget when, I don't know if y'all remember when COVID just hit nationwide, and then it was, for Dallas, it was a cold front. Nobody could go nowhere. It was just cold, bad weather. So someone connected me with a young lady, long story short, she kept me with a young lady that had a company, a logistic company, in California. She said, hey, I'm gonna give you some 18-wheelers that has food boxes of food. And just how you gotta do is just give them out. So I worked along with her. And what I did was I made it a community effort. One of the schools that I work with, community liaisons, I said, where is the needs of the areas that need the food the most? So only thing that I had to do is connect with a lady from California and say, hey, I need 3 18-wheelers. They will come out on Saturdays, Mondays, and I think it was Fridays. And so what I had to do was coordinate with each school district area that has the low income poverty area, utilize those students in the school district so they can get community service, come out and serve these food boxes. So we did 232,000 pounds of food, and it was 1,200 boxes on the 18-wheeler. So of course, there was some times we started out rough because we didn't have a forklift. So we had to do hands-on, taking all these boxes off the pallets, like 20 pallets of all these boxes of food. So I found someone that had a company. His boss allowed him to come in and take the forklift and take all the stuff out the boxes. And that's all we had to do was just take it off the pallet. So we done the food part of it. And that's one of the things that I love doing. I love giving back. So we want to be able to provide the food, nutrition to the community where we can be able to, because I have 3 distribution companies that gives me food, sends me emails all the time. However, everybody knows that my car is like the box truck. Unfortunately, you just don't understand. My little SUV is sort of the box truck. So whenever I have community events, I put tables and chairs all in my little SUV. I put food sometime when I get in my SUV. So I do what I got to do. Just do what I got to do. So those are a lot of things that we want to provide services for the community once we get our building space. And that's what I'm really working hard on this year, to network with somebody that will see the vision and say, hey, we would give you a building space. You just provide your services. I'm just saying this out of my mind. I don't even know if it's real.
Well, the other thing I mean, it is real because you're saying it, and that's how you've been able to use your magic to get all these things accomplished and bring so much care and relief to these families. But the big thing that I hear is the grant writer. Like, it would be a wonderful, wonderful connection for you to have a grant writer who responds to the work you're doing and who would be willing to dedicate some time. And I don't know how they get paid. Maybe they get paid off the grant somehow.
Majority want the money up front, unfortunately.
Well, but I mean, look at you. You don't want the money up front. You dive in and you get the work done. So there may be somebody out there who's maybe retired and has a space in their heart and a little time on their hands to help you get to the next level. So I'm going to make sure that this episode gets to some people who either are grant writers or no grant writers. Maybe that's some way that I can contribute to what you're up to, because you're doing so much and you're so available to be that fulcrum to all the abundance that's coming in and redirect that abundance like you did with the 18-wheelers full of food, full of meals. Like, I feel inspired to want to do something and help you and contribute in some way.
It was fun, though. I'm not gonna lie. It was cold. Our hand was freezing. We had to buy little bus things, put our hands, and students. There were some days it wasn't cold, some days it wasn't. But it was fun to be able to know that she was taking care of the community and that area of need. And as an organization, we didn't do it by ourselves. I just partnered with so many people. I say, hey, your organization come out and help us serve. Motorcycle organizations came out and served. Law enforcement, of course, my law enforcement community engagement department, they came out. They always made sure we had traffic control taken care of, because some people try to cheat in line. It was fun to bring everybody together in different zip codes of the need. So I'm just excited, really want to do it again. Now that my 2-car garage is full of no more violence because I have so much stuff for distribution. So whenever somebody needs something, I just go to the garage and get it. And but it's good. And then all of that, of course, for Christmas, a lot of families go through a lot where they financially can't take care of their child for Christmas. So what I do, that was another thing that our organization, we will share with the community to adopt a child. And what that means is that what I share with them, the package consists of purchasing new pants, a shirt, a shoes, and a coat. And I share with the donor. I said, you can purchase something like a materialist of toys, but we prefer that we make sure that they have clothes or shoes on it. They'll be able to have those type of items, clothes on their back, shoes on their feet. And so what we do, one of the skating rings is part of the city of Dallas, so they don't charge us to use a skating ring. So the entertainment part is going skating. we would have people to come and cater the food, and they have to come in and get their gifts. So we have tables and tables and tables of all kind of gifts for them with their names on it. And that's just our way to make sure that their family is taken care of for Christmas. And believe it or not, this past Christmas was a little bit different. I'm just so happy about this one. You never know who's watching us, who want to help. So there's a guy, he has a business. He works with a lot of celebrities. Never knew him. He found out about it. And so I just happened to call and ask for some chicken. I just called, so can y'all add some chicken to the skating ring, some food? We need some food to feed these kids and the family. He said, hey, he's one of the partnerships to the chicken company. And I said, I just need some food. And so he said, okay, I like what you're doing. Let me call you right back. He called me back and he said, hey, there is a dealership that we get ready to have an event about the same time you would have yours. And then he put another lady on the other end of the phone, and she said, please share about your organization. So I shared, and come to find out, she said, I think your organization will work perfect. We're looking for an organization that maybe have a family that don't have transportation, that we want to give away a car at this dealership.
Wow.
So I said, oh, wow. And so first thing came to mind, he said, well, call me back if you know somebody. So, oh my gosh, I'm all these families. I'm trying to think, who. Come to find out, I immediately called him back. I said, hey, I got somebody, one of my families. We did the service for her. We've been working with this family for a long time, as well as the other one. This young girl, her name is Brenda Bennett. She died. She was 9 years old. She was in her house, sitting in the living room, just came back from the store. And apparently it was a fight or something going on in the neighborhood. A young boy shot into some houses and trying to find out what house. I guess he didn't know what house to shoot in, but when he shot into the house, he shot and the bullet went and struck Brenda Naya, unfortunately, in the head in her house, and she died. So, of course, we went to that trial. That trial was just last year. So I said, Mom just started working. So she's traveling a long distance from her house to the hospital. She just got this job. She has no transportation. Can we nominate her? He said, yeah, give me all the information. Send him all the information. General manager contacted me. He said, come out we're going to give away some toys. Then I also have the organization with some toys. And I was wondering, like, oh my goodness, I got toys now. So I told all the families, so y'all come out and they're going to give away some bikes. You just have to register. Let me register you when y'all come to the skating ring. Let me register your family. So they came out. So kind of found out, he sent me the text, said, hey, this is the car. He texted me the picture of the car. He said, I think 99%. I think she's going to be the one to get the car. So when we got there, it was raining bad. But they all came out, got them bikes. They came out their toys. And so he said, General Manager said, hey, I'm going to give you the microphone because I said, oh, this is really, really happening. So it was a 2017 Buick Enclave. Real nice, burgundy, had the bow on it and everything. So he told me not to tell Mom because it's supposed to be a secret. So I told the grandmother. So grandmother came. Grandmother was dropped off because she said, oh, I think my daughter's ready to get this car. I said, Mom, I think so. So the general manager gave me the microphone. He told me to share the story a little bit about this family. The mom was standing right next to me. And he said, well, this is the one that's going to get the car. We all cried, boo-hoo, cried. So she boo-hoo cried. So you just don't know what that made me feel, to know that this mom was able to be blessed with a car, that she didn't have to worry about the finances. Her son was in college. She didn't have no way. Her son had tried to borrow some money to get home to college. He's in Pine Bluff, Arkansas College. And so he came home. So now Mom can take him back to school. Mom can get to work back and forth. That makes me feel good to know that she's able to do this. So I never know when somebody's going to do
The
something.
moral of the story is pick up the phone and find the chicken.
Find the chicken.
I'm going to
And
make
you
some
might get
chicken
a
calls
Buick.
today. Yeah.
Ask for chicken and you might get a
Get a
Buick.
car. You might
That's a
get
good
an
one.
enclave. Patricia, that is beautiful. You have shared some amazing, beautiful stories. Jennifer, how can we kind of sum up for our audience and for the people who are listening who might be able to make a difference in their communities, or for the work that Trisha is doing? Like, what do we want people to walk away with?
Well, when I think about the work that Trisha's doing with her other staff members and volunteers, I feel like they are furiously trying to knit back together the tapestry of a society, of a community that's being torn in so many directions. So I see these guys like frantically trying to sew up the rips and the tears in this tapestry of community. And if we could just amplify that message and get more people trying to sew it up rather than continuing to tear it apart, we might get somewhere. And I really appreciate what you're saying about the anger and the inability to recognize when your emotions are taking you to a space where you can't do good thinking. And it reminds me of our conversation about the Center for Counsel and about how teaching people self-regulation and how to interrupt that flooding of your body with hormones when you're about to go into the parasympathetic state. It really reminds me of that. Like, there's really a need for the work that the Center for Counsel is doing, is starting not just in incarcerated settings or inside organizations, but probably with school age kids.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a really beautiful example that you don't have to be a big, mighty corporation to make a meaningful difference.
Yeah.
If you have the heart to serve, if you have the energy and the compassion, you can make a difference, a really impactful difference. And what we need to do is like magnify the work that they're doing and replicate it elsewhere. The work you're doing is really incredibly powerful. And you've made a difference in more lives in your 10 years than many people do in their entire lives. And it's just a beautiful thing to hear you describe what you're doing.
Okay.
Yes, I also want to echo that and acknowledge you as a blessing, a true blessing to these families and the community. Thank you so much, Trisha, for galvanizing all of this healing and sense of family and community, and uplifting these families and holding them and hugging them and allowing it to spread. And it's really an honor to speak with you. And I'm very grateful for the work you're doing.
I also want to give a shout out to your husband, because I know you couldn't do this work if he wasn't on board with it. So we didn't get a chance to talk about him, but he's got to be pretty special too, if he's letting his garage be taken over and and everything else
outside. Yes, my whole family know how I am. I thank God for my family support, my children. But everybody know, you mess with no more violence, you mess what?
Yeah. Hey, how do people donate?
Babies, so I thank God.
How do people help you? If somebody wanted to support you, what do they do?
We have a website for No More Violence Organization, No More Violence Youth Convention, and we do have a PayPal account where they can just click on, when you first go to the website, it says donate. And then they give you the option to donate to the convention or the organization. Of course, what I do when sometimes I may have a big corporation. And I just want to share real briefly. Our convention, this past convention last year, we had UPS was one of our corporate sponsors. They gave us $10,000. So they helped us really well. Because, we start adding up. We had 39 rooms. We always do over 30 rooms when we have our convention. So we did 39 rooms. And so that took care of a lot of the costs for the hotel and the charter bus. So that's what we're working on again this year, to make sure we have those fundings for those families. And even for those who drove, we gave them a voucher of $100 to pip out on gas. So of course they can donate to PayPal on our website. Of course, that will help us. And then of course, if they need a contribution statement, we'll email that to them too as well.
Excellent.
Every little bit counts, huh?
Oh, yes, it does make a difference. I mean, we're grateful for any amount, large or small, for us to continue to keep doing what we're doing. So this year, that's when we're working real hard to make sure we get our building. Hopefully we have a grant writer that kind of, once we get the funding, that we can pay them out of there. But, hopefully we can find somebody that's willing to do that for us. Because we know it's expensive for a grant writer. But we want to build a relationship with that grant writer, not someone just write, but want to have that relationship to understand who we are and what we do, to be able to do more for the community.
Can I make a suggestion that might help?
Yes, ma'am.
I would try to connect with the victim services through one of the police departments in a community that you're serving.
Okay.
And they might be able to help you with an initial grant application, because they know where the different pots of money are. And particularly because a lot of the work that you are doing is serving crime victims.
Yes.
It could be an opportunity for a partnership where they actually would be the fiduciary agent. They'd receive the money and sub-grant it to your organization.
Okay.
So I feel like that would be a worthwhile phone call. And working with the victim advocates, either through the prosecutor's office or through a police department, if they're big enough to have their own victim advocate section.
Okay.
In all the different jurisdictions. I mean, just Texas,
That's good, because I can make a phone call. I got a lot of personalized phone numbers to a lot of officers that I work with. Even
go get your chicken. Go
Yes.
get your chicken.
Ask for chicken.
Yes, but
And you'll get a grant writer.
I never thought about that. So I will utilize those who I already have a partnership with through community engagement, the police department I work with, and then as well as the victims compensation coordinator that I work with. She works inside the police department. So they know me real well. So I can ask them about that. I didn't think about that and see how we can get some funding in that way.
Yeah, so the fact that you are a 501c3 makes it an easy pass through. If another organization accesses funding through Department of Justice or
Yeah.
A bunch of different places, particularly if you're able to define the scope of what you're going to do with that work. And I think when you talk about healing trauma, trying to give youth tools to resolve conflict, you're talking about crime prevention,
Exactly.
right? And re-victimization prevention.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there's some opportunities there. And if I can help you, I'm sure Andrea can connect us. Actually,
Awesome.
you probably have my info because I just PayPal'd you some money.
Oh, okay. I hadn't looked at it. I can only just see yours.
I was hitting you up on my phone. I was like, yep, the PayPal works. So you'll probably have my email.
You. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh,
I really
we
do.
appreciate you and God bless you.
thank
The work
you.
you're doing is amazing.
It was
Great
nice
to be with
meeting
you, Trisha.
It was nice meeting you. Thank you so much. Y'all keep up with us. Stay tuned. I don't know if you're on social media, but follow us.
I do.
I
I
will.
follow you on LinkedIn. You're real good about posting.
I try to get on as much as I can on LinkedIn, but yes, I try to keep everybody updated. So thank you so much. And as you see, we get ready to start our mental health walk. Mom had asked me to head that up through the city where she lives in DeSoto. The superintendent and mayor is already on board for us to do that mental health walk in memory of her daughter. So we're working real hard on that one too.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, get back at it. Don't keep talking to us. You got some chicken to ask for. So get on out there.
Thank you.
Take
Bless
care,
y'all.
Patricia. Bless
Thank
you.
Okay, y'all have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Thanks to sound mixer and podcast producer Michael Doherty, sound designer Andy Bill of Submachine Audio, and graphic designer Jungleen Bay. Thanks also to me, Hero Maker director and producer Andrea Shreeland. Please subscribe to the show where you listen to podcasts and take a moment to rate us. It really helps the podcast grow. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Hero Maker Pod. Want to collaborate or suggest a guest? Please email us at media@theheromakerpodcast.com. The Hero Maker Podcast is a production of Prudent Pictures. Thank you so much for listening.
The Williamson County Cultural Arts Commission of Franklin, Tennessee wishes to thank our men and women in blue who help us deliver safe and fun family and community cultural events year-round, including one of the only authentic bluegrass festivals in the country. Bluegrass Along the Harpeth takes place every July and at the Williamson County Fair in August and at the annual Tennessee International Independent Film Festival. Check out our full calendar of events at wccac-tn.org.